Shabbat Shalom to everyone. The merriment of Purim is just around the corner. Tonight, Jews around the world will take the admonishment, "Be happy, it's Adair," very seriously. We read megillat Esther, the scroll of Esther, which tells the story of Purim, all the time shaking loud groggers and booing and hissing at increasing volumes every time we hear the name of the evil Haman, until the name of Haman is drowned out. We Jews put on Purim spiels, sometimes embarrassing, but always goofy and slapstick spoofs. We transform our social halls and outdoor spaces into the sites of pagan-like carnivals. We dress up in outrageous costumes, some related to the holiday, King Ahasuerus, Queen Vashti or Queen Esther, Mordecai or Haman, and other costumes not related to the holiday at all. We cross-dress and we wear all kinds of masks that hide who we really are. We blur the line of good taste, and some of us will cross the line. According to the Talmud, on Purim, we should drink until we can't tell the difference between the curse of Haman and the blessing of Mordecai. In essence, this is drinking until we can't tell the difference between good and evil, until we can't tell the difference between right and wrong. This is drinking to excess, until we forget who we are, until we lose ourselves. There is something wrong with this message, something very troubling. For some people, the seemingly harmless frivolity I've just described isn't frivolous or harmless at all. In a United Synagogue of Conservative Judaism magazine article, Professor Susan Cole graphically describes a different, darker reality. Sometime today or tonight, a nice Jewish boy will suck on a crack pipe. In 25 seconds, freebase cocaine will sear his brain, firing neurons that signal intense pleasure, the visceral excitement of food or sex. A few moments later, he will sit frozen, his eyes darting. When the paranoid delusions ebb, he will reach for the pipe again. Across town in her parents' marble-tiled bathroom, a nice Jewish girl purges her latest carbohydrate binge. Later tonight, her sister will sit with friends in a club, drinking vodka martinis as she surveys the men. At home, a nice Jewish mother will count out her hoard of painkillers and muscle relaxants. Meanwhile, casinos and online gambling rooms will draw in pleasure seekers, including Jewish husbands and fathers who will put this month's mortgage money on the line and lose it all. Listen to the sound of unanswered phones ringing, she writes. 1, 2, 3 rings, then a click. Sleep-deprived and frantic, someone who loves an alcoholic or addict listens for the 10th time in a row to the recorded greeting, wondering whether the person whose cheerful voice they heard is alive or dead. Dr. Cole paints a very disturbing picture. But surely she can't be talking about Jews. She can't really be talking about us. We don't have problems with drug or alcohol addictions. We don't have problems with gambling or internet pornography addictions. We don't suffer from addictions to food or dieting, from anorexia or bulimia. We don't have problems of codependency. She must be talking about someone else. Denial is a hallmark of addiction. The alcoholic or addict denies the disease, and we Jews deny that these problems exist in our community. But they do. We are not immune from the addictions that afflict all other peoples. Recovery is possible. Help is out there. The first step is to admit we have a problem, that a particular behavior has become an addiction. How do we know if we're addicted? Does this description of addiction from medicine and behavior describe you or someone you know? You are a teenager or a middle-aged housewife or a successful businessman or a retired professional. You have just messed up or have successfully completed your latest project or have met an exciting new person or have lost someone or something very important to you. You feel emotionally out of balance, so you drink or take drugs or eat or gamble or log onto the internet. You take a substance that alters your brain chemistry, or you get your body and brain to manufacture those chemicals in response to the way you think or act. You become an addict when you can no longer stop yourself from going down that path. You become an addict when you do one of these things more than or longer than you planned, when there is a compulsion to continue it, when you try to cut down and you can't, and when you continue to abuse the substance or experience despite your knowledge that it is going to cause you significant difficulty with school, work, your emotions, or your family. Families and close friends of those with addictions are also impacted. Rabbi Teri, who has written a series of books linking 12-step recovery to Judaism, estimates that 15 intimate others are impacted by each person in addiction. For example, parents and spouses may fall into codependency, becoming obsessed with trying to save the addict. Children, doing their best to make sense of a dysfunctional, abusive world, get caught in a web of deception or blame themselves for their parents' problems, perpetuating the cycle of self-destruction from generation to generation. The next step after admitting we have a problem is to overcome our fear and shame and to ask for help. None of us can go it alone. Recovery involves help from others in religious, medical, and social support roles. There should be no shame in addictive behavior. As Rabbi Abraham Twersky, an MD and founder and medical director emeritus of Gateway Rehabilitation Center in Pennsylvania, so passionately advocates, addiction is a disease, not a moral failing. It is a disease that takes control of our lives, our decisions, and our relationships. It is a disease that masks who we really are, who we are meant to be. Just as there should be no feeling of shame in addictive behavior, there should be no shame in asking for help. Our bodies are holy vessels, clay kodesh. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tahora hi. The souls that God has given each of us are pure. Our minds are our mishkans, our sacred sanctuaries, our safe havens. We owe it to ourselves to return to our true selves, to remove the masks of addiction. On this Shabbat Zahor, the Shabbat before Purim, we remember Amalek, who attacked the most vulnerable Israelites from the back. We remember the cruelty and deadly danger of oppression and extermination that he represents. We remember so that we will remain vigilant to block out such evil wherever and whenever it occurs. The evil that Amalek represents is an external danger that threatens to do evil. Addiction, on the other hand, is an internal danger that threatens to do evil. It too must be acknowledged and then eradicated. But it is important that we remember that the addict is not evil. Rather, it is the damage caused by addiction that is evil. If we are truly a kehillat kadosh, a sacred community, and a kehillat chesed, a caring community, shouldn't we listen to each other's stories, that no one has to suffer alone, so no one has to hide outside of shame? Shouldn't we take ourselves out of denial and create a non-judgmental atmosphere so that the Jewish addict among us can say, I am Jewish, and I am an addict, and I need help? Shouldn't we serve as a clearinghouse for our local resources, such as AA, Al-Anon, Alateen, drug hotlines, therapists, physicians, and social workers? Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav once wrote, Kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tzar ma'od, v'ha'ikar lo lefached klal. All of the world is a narrow bridge. The most important thing is not to be afraid. If we or our loved ones suffer from addictive behavior, my prayer this Shabbat is that we may overcome our fears and take the first steps across that narrow bridge to removing the masks of addiction. May we as a community reach our hands out to each other, supporting one another as we cross that narrow bridge. May this be God's will. Amen.